ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Weebs of the Ring, episode 79 for the coverage of Monday Night Raw, the Raw Go Home show to Saudi of Crown Jewel 2024. And for this tonight coverage, the Stampede brings you a Jimmy and Jay officially reunite. They talk about their emotion, their feelings, saying that we're not going to be a side piece no more. We're not going to be the sloppy seconds, but there's somebody else intervened. Sami Zayn said, "What you doing, Jay? Why are you going back to the toxic family?" But in the middle of the night, we saw boy Sami talking to Solo. What did that all mean? What does that mean for Sami and Jay relationship? What does that mean for this coming Friday tape show from Friday Night SmackDown? We're going to talk about it. But then the mid-card stars, we have Dirty Ass Dog, main event with Damian Priest once more, and Finn Balor did not come out to intervene. That's one of the biggest highlight of the night. What was that? Was there a reason he didn't show up? Was he salty? Let's talk about it. Then we have Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed face-off. It wasn't a face-off. It was a beat-down in the parking lot. I've been saying this for weeks. I miss my parking lot beat-downs. But then for the rest of the night, we have Ivy Now versus Zelina Vega. LWO versus New Day versus the War Raiders, going for the #1 contender for the tag team of Monday Night Raw, because it's only been defended one time out of 100 days. That's insane. But then we have The Miz, Karrion Kross, and the Wyatts with R-Truth. And the last match for us to discuss for the night is Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. We're going to have some disagreements and some conversations, but that is our Stampede for Monday Night Raw. So you excited for the show? Are you thrilled to talk about it? Because we are going to have a discussion. Like Michael Cole always says, it's fight night.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, tonight we are three spooky weebs, who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. We are brought to you by Anime Studio, and this is, of course, the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I know I did. Caught some NXT, caught some highlights from TNA. Everything was great. Everything was awesome. Everything was cool. But we got Monday Night Raw to talk about. I, of course, am your world champion, Walkpool, here to talk to you guys about the Monday Night Graps. And as always, I am never alone in this endeavor. For you see, on my right shoulder, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself with a good old D smile on his face. We've got the clown, legendary Vash. Vash, how you doing tonight?
Why so serious? Rest in peace to our boy. Is the visionary, legendary Vash, dressed up as the Joker with the inspiration of the hands from Wednesday. For anybody that's seen the show on Netflix, the hands is a reference to the Addams Family. So, what's up?
What's up indeed. And of course, to my left, we have the genius of the lake himself coming in very strong, very heavily guarded. We have Drop This Voorhees. Drop, how you doing tonight, buddy? Uh-oh. Did you not hear me? Drop, did you hear me?
Oh no, I was just trying to play the character.
Oh, I got you. Drop This Voorhees. I got you. Sorry, I forgot.
We're in horror season.
He doesn't talk. He just grunts. He goes, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Woo, this mask is hard. Let's see how much we survive. All three of us with a mask until the end of the show. For anybody that's seeing this as a post video after, we're doing this in inspiration for the Halloween week, because by the time Halloween is on Thursday and it's going to be Friday Night SmackDown coverage, it's already November, so it's kind of pointless to do a Halloween special. This is our version of it. Check on Thursday for the Anime podcast, so we appreciate for that one. We have our version of Halloween special over there as well.
Exactly. So as you guys are filtering in, hopefully you guys are able to get through all the spookiness, all those ghosts, goblins, whatever have you, because we got some Monday Night Raw to talk about. We had some decent stories tonight. This was supposed to be the go home show for Crown Jewel. Not
Crown.
much. Yeah.
You say crown jewel?
Yeah, Crown Jewel, like drool, as in like drooling from our
Which is
mouths.
funny
Because
that it's the go home
what?
show, but we barely saw the setup for it. We didn't have no
See, that's the
Nia
thing.
Jax with
I assume that's Friday. If I had to take a guess.
most likely it's Friday, but then
think
like
so.
they
Yeah.
should at least also try to push it from the Raw, like at least
No, I
Gunther,
get
his
it,
version
but-
of Cody, like push it. But most likely we're gonna get it, from
Yeah.
the tape show from Friday, as you said.
Yeah. No, I get that, but it's just a common theme with these Saudi shows. That's why I tried saying earlier. They don't
Yeah.
really put any effort when it comes to these sort of things, especially when it comes to the go home shows, because this is pretty much like the anime filler that you get throughout the year when it comes to wrestling, where once you reach Crown Jewel, it's just something that's there. Then after it's over, you're not going to really remember it, and you're just going to move on to Survivor Series and then lead into the WrestleMania build-up season with Royal Rumble and everything else.
Exactly. Like, and I would be surprised if, sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if one match actually ended up getting pulled because of tonight, but we'll get into that when we get to it. So let's kind of start with our headline story here, because as
Yeah.
we're talking about Survivor Series going forward, a lot of the talk deals with the bloodline, and as we saw on Friday, seems like the Usos are back together. So tonight we had Jimmy and Jay officially reuniting tonight. And they started the night off. Jay tells Jimmy that, people can finally tell them apart. I'm Jay, you're Jimmy, I'm Yeet, you're no Yeet, all that stuff. So they're not going to be secondary to Roman anymore. They're not going to be little henchmen. They are their own people. They are Jimmy, they are Jay, and they are the Usos. Bloodline ends up coming out, gets beaten down, all that wonderful fun stuff. And at first you think, oh, that's all we're going to get for the Bloodline tonight. No, because Sami Zayn is back, everybody. He shows up and he's trying to talk sense into Jay, trying to rationalize what's going on and why Jay is going back to the Bloodline. They kind of have a little tiff where Jay basically says, yeah, you're not family. Later on, Jimmy's just like, hey, I'll try to talk to Sami, but that's when he runs into Sami outside talking to Solo in the car. So yeah, Sami's not family. It's just them and Roman against Temu Bloodline. So a lot of stuff to kind of dissect from this, but let's start here with our opening segment with Jimmy and Jay coming out. I like this enough, because again, like, at least with Jimmy and Jay, like I said on Friday, I can see them kind of reconciling a little quicker, a little sooner than Jay with Roman, just because they're a little bit more tighter than they were with Roman to begin with. And plus, like, a lot of the reasons for Jimmy turning on Jay kind of makes sense now that we see what's happening with Solo, as he's now the tribal chief. But I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Vash, I want to start with you. What do you think of this opening segment just with Jay and Jimmy?
For Jay and Jimmy, I'm really happy about them, that they reunited. Could a lot of people say it's rushed? No, because at the end of the day, you're blood. You want to still forgive, but you also want to talk about it. Anybody that has a problem with a sibling or cousin, or has a problem with your close friend or childhood friend, you want to still forgive them, but you want to, hey, does something happen between us? We got to still improve who we are. I forgive you, I love you, but we got to be having a better relationship. And I get that, because Jay said, like, yo, I haven't spoken to you for half a year since WrestleMania. And he said, we fought each other. Now we can tell the difference of no ye. He even said it like, you're my twin. With this, for a second, I thought they was gonna go further and joke around saying that you with the same blood, we have the same eyes, the same twin, like just going like
right
by Roberto. I'm like, all right, cool guys, you guys are doing a bit too much. You're extra right now. But when it comes to the interaction, I really enjoyed it because it showed how blood is blood, but you want to improve, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what Jay told Jimmy. Like, hey, we're back together. We're cool. I love you, bro. But we cannot be other people goons. We cannot be people's followers. We gotta be our own leaders. And I love it how he said
Yeah.
that we're Jay, we're Jimmy, but we're still the Usos. So that's something that I love when tag teams, like for example the New Day, how they could still be a tag team, have their issues, but they could go for their individuals, even though it hasn't worked so well for them lately. But with the Usos, that if they do get back together and after the storyline continues, where they could still go for their own titles, but still be a team or still be friends or still have a good relationship, that's something I
Mm-hmm.
would like to see in the future. But for now, I really love their interaction itself. Right before we get to Sammy, but from what I like, really love this.
Yeah. Well, Drop, I'm just gonna bring it over to you. How did you feel about just like this opening segment on here? Because like I know one crux here is Jimmy basically saying, "Hey Jay, you need to come to Friday and reconcile with Roman." So that's where we're leading up. I know things were taped, and we. I don't know if you guys got spoiled on anything.
Oh, me, I
I
did.
kind of did. Yeah.
Just saying,
So
I kind of saw most
yeah.
of the show because one of my friends went and he told me about it. I kind of
Oh,
like know
even
almost
better.
2 hours of the show already.
Oh, even better.
It-
So yeah, Drop. What do you think of this opening segment we have with the
Yeah.
Usos?
So I won't say anything that happens because I'll save that discussion for Friday when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I am glad to see like both of them on Raw talking. And one of the things I really liked about this overall was mainly with Jay, basically saying that things aren't just going to be the way it is, just like how it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Like he actually has certain guidelines that he wants Jimmy to follow, which I can appreciate. Because you got to look back at everything that happened. Obviously, things aren't going to be the way it was before. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that Jay, isn't completely forgetting about everything that happened. And I'm assuming the same thing's going to be talked about with Roman, where there's going to be certain rules that need to be followed in order for them to
Yeah.
really cooperate with one another. Because it could easily be one of those things where it's like, you know what, we're working with each other for the time being, but it doesn't mean this is going to be a permanent thing. Like, we obviously have a common goal in mind. We'll work together until we get up to that point and we get rid of whatever issue that we have. And then after that, we're just going to go our separate
Mm-hmm.
ways. That's pretty much the mindset that Jay has right now, which is something that you can appreciate because I don't think anybody would really like, especially looking at how the story of the bloodline is like, very in depth when it comes to a lot of things, especially when it comes to character writing. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
anybody would be that big of a fan if you just had Jay completely forget about everything and just move on and forget that anything that happened. Like, it's good that they're acknowledging that because they obviously know that's something that the fans want to know as well. Where it's like, Jay, you've been through a lot of shit. You got to put your foot down and let everybody know how you feel, which he did. He basically said that he's a changed person. He was able to accomplish many things without them, which I know
Yeah.
was something that people wanted him to bring up when it comes to them, getting back together and talking, and especially when he gets to moments like this, actually showing the sort of progression that Jay did, because Jay did want Jay didn't want to have any part of whatever shit was going on with it, which all to him,
Nope.
because it honestly didn't really make sense for him to put himself in there to begin with, because his main objective to begin with was to separate himself from the bloodline, get rid of the problem, and focus on
Mm-hmm.
becoming who he is right now. But that's something I really appreciate, is the fact that there is certain rules that need to follow, because if I was in a situation like this, I would probably react the exact same way that Jay did. So I am glad that it feels very realistic when it comes to certain things like this. And it's only
Yeah.
set in place like this for the time being. Obviously, over time, things will slowly get to how it was before, and that's how you start to build that trust again and you start
Mm-hmm.
building that connection again. But based on the route that we're going down right now, it makes sense why everything is laid out the way it is.
Exactly. And like one thing too, and I'm gonna wait. I'm mainly gonna wait for Friday to really kind of pass
Yeah.
some judgment on all this, because I want to see what Jay says to Roman and how
Yeah.
he tries to reconcile with them before like finally putting a nail in the coffin of like, oh, is this being rushed or anything?
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, because I could see that argument being made, and I can get
Yeah.
it. I understand that.
Sure.
I just need to I need to see how the Roman side of this goes, because like it seems like we're going in a different direction than I personally thought we were going to be doing with this, because like I thought that Sammy was going to be like the heart of all of this, but like
But nope.
I mean he still kind of is in a way, but like in a completely different aspect that at least I personally thought, because like so we can transition now I guess to this
Right
middle
now,
part
I'm
here.
starting to sweat really bad.
All good.
You're fine. You're good.
Yeah.
So to like this middle part of all this, because I mean, yeah, they beat up the bloodline. That came out cool, neat, awesome, fantastic, whatever. We cut to backstage where Jimmy and Jay, they're having their little thing, and Sammy comes out and he tries to speak with Jay by himself, and he's trying to make sense of what Jay is going through, which I think is really good, because Sammy's acting like us as the fans, being like, "Hey Jay, why? Out of after everything that Roman put you through, after all like the mental stress and just like all of the gaslighting and all of the torture almost that Roman put you through, you're gonna just go back to him. You're just gonna do that." So I kind of just want to just open it up for discussion. Like, how did you guys feel
Yo.
about like the words that Sammy was saying, and do you agree with him or are you on Jay's side?
I would like to go first in this part because one thing that
Go ahead.
I felt hurt when my boy literally told him, "You're not family, Oos," and I'm like,
Mhm.
I got into the bloodline storyline late, so I came 2 years later after what has already developed and what's been going after the pandemic. So I'm attached to what I've already seen from Sammy, the KO stuff, and what has happened after. Sammy being told to get that family news, I'm like, bitch, weren't you hype and literally behind him in the courtroom, in the ring, when you literally defended for him back and you literally said, hey, Sammy, you're not Us, you're not family, but he's an honorary Use. He's literally an honorary person in the family, in the bloodline. And you're saying that, like, so it's very intriguing that this is a story we're going for, because we all thought that he would be the heart. He would be the heart of the cards of Jay and telling him that this is the right thing we're doing. But then for Jimmy, that just said, hey, I see Sammy talking to Solo. So now that brings to question what is going behind with Sammy. Is this is why
Mhm.
he's been going off for the past couple weeks, why he hasn't been on screen, or are they going to use it as a storyline? Why Sammy hasn't been on screen, and we're going to use that with Solo. So I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, they might. They might. Drop. What did you feel about Sammy's words here and just everything that came across and all that? Um, and in the meantime, Vash, you might want to.
I already fixed it.
Okay, good, perfect. Oh man.
Um,
So yeah, drop. Yeah.
yeah, so like I can understand where Jay's coming from, because yes, he was there when everything was going on, but you do have to look at it from a realistic point of view. Like, yeah, it is family business at the end of the day that involves Jay, Jimmy, Roman, and the rest of everybody else. So it's like, I
Mhm.
understand why he's saying things the way he is, because you're at a point where, you know, Sammy's still stuck where he was before, so
Yeah.
obviously he's still gonna feel the exact same way that he did originally. I mean, he's pretty much going through the phase that Jay was going through not that long ago. Even though
Mhm.
Jay isn't like fully there, you know, completely forgetting about everything that happened, because he obviously laid those guidelines, which I definitely appreciate. But you also have to look at what Sammy's been through when it came to
Mhm.
everything that happened between him and the bloodline, and when he turned on Roman because he was sick of the abuse. So you got to look at it from that point of view, and the fact that, you know, he was really trying to stick up with Jay, um, ever since all that stuff happened, and even a part of the bloodline story, like all those months ago, he was the one that was trying to really build a relationship with Jay. So it's like
Mhm.
he's just really trying to look out for him the best that he possibly can. So you can't really blame either guy for feeling the way that they do because they're just looking at it from their perspective when it comes to how they want to handle things.
Yeah.
And I also like that Sami was on Raw tonight because that was one of the things that we brought up last week where we were trying to debate like, okay, where is this going to go from here? After when we were talking about the main event in last week's show, when it came to the first topics we were talking about, we were like, okay, how does Sami Zayn fit into this? Is going to show up next week. He shows up next week, so that pretty much tells you that you will be getting the honorary Uce soon. There's just going to be a couple twists and turns along the way when we eventually get there.
And like, I still think like Sami is the key for all of this because like, just like what Jay said, technically Sami isn't family, so like there's a certain level that Sami just doesn't get in all this, but like also in a way Sami does get it because like when you guys think back to it, when Sami like, because he was one of the front runners for Jay when he came to Raw like almost a year ago. Like he was one of the people that was just like, you know, we should get behind him, he's trying to do better, all this other stuff. And through that, Sami lost his best friend Kevin Owens because Kevin went straight to SmackDown after that. So like the one family member in a way that Sami had left. So he was left with nobody. I mean, he's still a Jay, obviously, but like that's besides the point. So like there is a level to where like they don't understand each other, but in the way they do. And I think that's also like the crux of all this because like with Sami, he was somebody that like really tried to keep the bloodline together. The whole like hell, like almost a year ago was the whole he's just not feeling Uce. Or no, that was not a year ago. That was like 2 years ago. My bad. But anyways, that's besides the point. It's like Sami, like through that comedic timing and ways and all that, Sami was able to keep the bloodline together before they started imploding. And like he was the reason they won that War Games match that year because like his sacrifices throughout that match kept the bloodline in the match. They kept them strong and all that stuff. So it's like Sami talking to, and I mean we can tie this in too with like Sami talking to Solo later. Like I feel like that's gonna be like a red herring because like a lot of people are gonna be like,
it's definitely a red herring for sure. Like, but what type of red herring and how does like is this bad timing for Sami? Like, what is this type of like contribute? And how did Jimmy know as well? Like, is it something that Jimmy is not trying to have Sami back in the group? Like, I wonder who's the one that's scheming or like the right timing for everything.
Well, like it's funny you brought up Jimmy, and I'm glad you shared this tweet too, Drop, when it showed up. Like there's almost like a role reversal here with Jay and Jimmy, where like when Sami was first trying to get into the bloodline and all that, Jimmy was like way behind Sami and all that. Like he was just like, yeah, let's do this. And like he's cool, he's awesome, he's great. Whereas like now it's like Jimmy's kind of a little apprehensive with Sami coming back, even though Jay was like, oh, you're not family. It's like I think Jay in a way is trying to keep Sami out of it because really Sami doesn't have any stake in all this because like with Jay being part of the family and all that, like he kind of has to do this. Like it's one of those things where like he has to fight for this because like otherwise Thanksgiving is going to be very awkward this year.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't really against him losing the title because he had to find out a way to insert himself in the story, and you got to make it realistic. You can't just have Jay insert himself in the story just because Roman needs help. Like you got to give him a reason to get involved. Otherwise, he'd be doing his own thing. Because if he never lost that title to Braun Breaker and everything, he would have just kept doing his own thing, and he would focused on whatever next challenge he had. That's why I wasn't against it. It's not about really going into the bloodline having a title. I mean, he basically said what I talked about, where he came in there and he brought up what he accomplished. So it's not like he didn't completely push it to the side like it didn't happen. He literally said to Jimmy tonight, I did this without you guys. I managed to do things on my own. So you got that progression right there. So for people
Yeah.
out there that were saying they were going to forget about that, obviously he's not going to forget about what he managed to accomplish on his own.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I'm not really like worried about the title, because you got to make things realistic, especially when it comes to situations like this with this kind of story that's being told.
Mhm.
You look at it from this perspective. Why is Jimmy back? Solo turned his back on Jimmy. Tama Tonga beat up Jimmy. He's out for
Yep.
revenge. Why is Roman doing this? Solo's calling him out. Solo's saying that, Roman's making a whole bunch of mistakes. He's a fucking joke. All that stuff. Okay. You got Roman involved now. Why is Jay getting involved? Oh, he decided to show up on SmackDown, a show that isn't his, and he decided to talk some smack, and that following Monday, he ended up losing his title. You got their reasons right there why those three guys are involved. So that's something that I can appreciate, because I like how things are realistic, so it makes sense why things end up from here and there. And I expect it to be no different from Sami as well, because like I said, I was waiting to see how Sami was going to fit into this. We see him talking to Solo and the back when they're by the car and everything. And if I know Sami, it's probably one of those things where he's trying to tell Solo how Jay feels, and he's trying to say like how you guys should really sort things out. Your family, at the end of the day, you guys shouldn't be fighting. He's, like you said, the peacemaker. He's the one that really tries to bring everybody together. That was the whole reason why the Bloodline story was so hot, because of him. He made the story must-see TV. I'm not saying that it isn't now, but Sami was the legitimate reason why it was must-see TV, because of what he brought to the table to that story. So with Sami getting involved again, that's really going to spice things up. And I'm very curious to see where that's going to lead, because you also have to keep in mind that there is even discussions with Solo about what his potential role might be in the future, because of what happened last week where he took a bullet for Jay. Not necessarily saying that we're going to be seeing him come into Roman's bloodline anytime soon, because at this point it doesn't really make any sense, but you at least see that there's like something thrown in there that makes you question a couple things, where if he were to go down that direction, how would it make sense when it comes to the certain route we have to get in order to reach that destination? So just to get my own personal thoughts of the whole thing with Sami, I mean, that's basically what it was. He gets thrown in there. He adds an interesting twist to the story. Now people are tuned in. Is it going to get acknowledged on Friday? Is it going to get brought up again on Monday? I mean, right after the Saudi show's over, we're going to be building into War Games. So, I mean, this is going to be a very hot story moving forward. And I am honestly looking forward just to see Sami involved with something, because he's been absent ever since that world title match they had with Gunther. He hasn't really been doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know if they're gonna mention anything on Friday, because like I feel like if they
probably not,
if
probably
they did, like I feel like if they
They did.
we would have heard about that.
Actually,
They did talk about it. From what my friend told me, they spoke about Monday, saying that this past Monday, what happened with Sami. So they did mention
Why
that.
do you have to tell me now? Why do you have to tell me now?
That's why
I didn't want to be spoiled.
No, that's why I said. No, that's why I didn't even know about that. Just to be honest with you, Watkins. But that's why I also said earlier I was gonna keep things to. I was gonna mention anything on Friday, because I wanted to wait to save that Friday discussion. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened a little while ago, where there was a tape show for SmackDown, and we knew things happened, but we didn't really say anything. So it's like that's why I just save the conversations for there, because then that completely just kind of ruined
because I feel like if they did mention it, that we would have people would have seen this happen.
I just feel like it would make sense that if they was gonna already have the script's idea of what's gonna be for Monday, like they will at least mention it. Like, hey, so like with Jay, we found out that he's gonna try to speak to the tribal chief, the OTC. Even when Roman, I mean, sorry, even when Jimmy, he said himself, they're not the ones, we're the ones. I find it interesting as well when Jay said we're not the ones either, but then he's still willing to tell Sami that hey, you're not family. But also, I feel like Sammy got too annoyed for Jay. Like, hey, how you telling me about how to handle my family business? Like, yeah, you're an honorary Us, but how do you feel like you're coming to my family business of what we're talking about and what we're discussing, and you trying to come into my business? So, like, I get both sides from Jay. Like, if you ask, chat, please also let us know down in the comments, whose side are you on? Because I'm on Jay's side. But also, I understand Sammy's side because I've been on Sammy's side to tell other friends or peers like, hey, this is just my opinion, but then I will understand where Jay's coming from.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I think at this point I'm more curious what Sammy is telling Solo, because like Solo, like when you zoom into like the picture or like the freeze frame of it, Solo doesn't look really pissed off at Sammy, and in fact he's still in the car too, so it's not like he's out of the car with all the rest of the Temu bloodline like trying to intimidate Sammy. Like they're actually kind of having a civil conversation, it looks like. So like it's interesting that Solo's actually hearing Sammy out in this aspect too.
Well, he did say
like,
that he wants to be a different tribal chief from Roman. How with Roman, his tribal chief, damn, I can't believe I'm defending Solo. Damn, we're months later into this and I'm defending Solo. That's fucking crazy. Wow, that's something new. Well, I understand where Solo, as a tribal chief, he has said it that he's not trying to be the same as Roman, even though he's more ruthless, aggressive because of the people he got as the bloodline, as the 2.0. But he himself, he said that he's trying to be a different leader. He's trying to be different how Roman is, as he's the one word and it's only his word. That if whatever he says goes. So I understand where Roman was that, but with Solo, I feel like he's trying to bring his brothers, but also he could also be manipulating. That could also be the case.
Well, like it's not necessarily manipulation, because like Roman was the manipulator. Like he was, but he also started as like the intimidator, but it was more on the manipulation side. Whereas with Solo, he's being more intimidating with it, you know, and I'm glad he's able to like show a little bit more character on the mic now, because like he's kind of joking a little bit, but like it's kind of in like that kind of like in a villain aspect way, where it's just like, oh, yeet, yeet, you come out here and be like yeet, yeet, like things like that. So it's like Solo is being a villain now instead of like this manipulative dick that Rowan basically was. Like, yeah, so like it was very interesting to me, at least, that they were having a civil conversation, because like when you think about Sammy too, because like Solo was with Roman when Sammy turned his back on all of them. Like he was the one that like took Sammy out, or like, you know, he was part of the beatdown and all that, like without hesitation. So like for him to like give Sammy the time of day too is something impressive as well. But I'd be more curious to hear what Sammy told Solo, and I'm wondering if like next week we have a segment where Sammy tries to confront Jay and be like, hey, look, because we know they watch the show, we know that they, you know, see the replays and all that. So it's like Sammy, if he's smart enough, you know, if he's a smart enough babyface, hopefully he goes up to Jay and is just like, hey, Jay, let me explain myself. And I mean, we could still have Jay being like, I don't want to hear it, like things like that, but like we could at least have that moment where it's just like, let me try to talk to you. Because here's another aspect of it too. What if this is all part of a plan from Paul Heyman?
From what perspective? Paul Heyman, him putting the strings
like,
of where?
Just trying to do something to like maybe like lull Solo into like a false sense of security or something.
Because we also still have the big elephant in the room, I'll call it, The Rock. He's still up here and we don't know where his contribution is.
Well,
hopefully in Hollywood.
actually, you mean his role in the story?
Yes, like his role in the story of.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think it's kind of obvious where
Oh no, it's
he's
obvious in the aspect that he's probably the one pulling the strings. He's probably the,
yeah.
Mm.
the tribal chief above everyone, or I forgot what was
Yeah.
called the one above it,
High chief.
the high
High
chief.
chief.
So
Yeah.
he's probably the one doing that, and he's a people's champion, all that. But I'm just curious to know, like, is he gonna play a factor into this as well, to lead up to Survivor Series?
I
Is he
mean,
gonna join in this aspect? Like, are we gonna get that
I
build up
don't.
in the next 3 weeks?
I don't think so because he
Yeah.
said something about not really doing anything until 2025 on his little Instagram post. He
Yeah.
made like that very apparent. So I would assume he'd probably be there. Obviously, starting off that year with a Netflix episode, and then he'll probably
True.
be there throughout. So for now, we're just letting the wave ride with whoever's on it that's a part of this story. But
Yeah.
just to like I mean, my biggest question really is like when Paul Heyman's gonna come back, because I'm not necessarily upset he's not here, because like I said before, I like the whole fact that they got to figure out how to do stuff on their own without him, which I feel like is a smart thing to really showcase, because it's almost like you're like reading a manga and you have a student and a teacher, and obviously the teacher eventually down the line wants the student to figure out situations on their own in order for them to progress and grow. So you look at that from Roman's perspective, it's nice to see him struggle every once in a while when it comes to situations like this, even with what we saw on Friday where he was just the body language that he showed, he didn't really know how to feel in that situation, because
Yeah.
at first, you see Roman be like, I can do this on my own, I'm the tribal chief. And then he comes to a point where he's like, you know what, maybe I need some help. And then he comes to a point where he's like, you know what, Jay, I'm happy for you. Even though realistically, he was just saying that because he just really wants people to help him get rid of this bloodline issue that he currently has right now. So the whole story arc that you're going to see is the Roman Reigns that we should have seen when it comes to him finally coming to terms with actually accepting his family, when it comes to him actually acknowledging, I wouldn't have gotten to where I was before without anybody else's help. So I like seeing that struggle with Roman, Jimmy, and everybody else, because with Paul Heyman there, it's almost like a cheat code where it's like, if Paul Heyman's there, issue solved. But I would assume, and I would assume he has to be coming back soon, because they have that NXT show next
ECW
week,
next week,
and
that's true.
in the ECW, and it's really hard for me to see him not on there. So I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe something happens at Crown Jewel, and he shows up there.
The question is, what role will he play? Because right now, when he was gone, it's been 3-4 months where Jay has the IC title. So so it's just to know that how is he gonna view the new bloodline, the old bloodline, or sorry, the OG bloodline is the new name, and the bloodline current. I wonder how they're gonna be viewed by Paul Heyman.
Well, he hates the current one, obviously, because they took him out.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, but also like Paul talking to Jay, Paul talking to Jimmy, seeing how they have progressed as a family, and seeing how they're back in Roman. So I'm really curious to see the interaction of how his role would be like. Because remember, Roman was saying like a year ago that Jay, you're the next tribal chief and everything. So I wonder if Paul's gonna see some stuff in the future, or like probably are we gonna see some seeds of that coming in the next coming weeks?
I could actually see it happening this way. I want you guys to hear me out, because like this kind of ties into what Drops been talking to everybody about how like Roman and Jimmy and Jay are trying to think for themselves and all that. Because like while Roman was on that big tear and all that, as tribal chief and all that, having the wise man with him, he had Paul Heyman there to help push him along, help him plan and all that. And now that Roman's trying to do it on his own, trying to come up with the plans, all that stuff, it's going to come to a point where like he doesn't need Paul Heyman anymore. Like
Exactly.
that eventuality is going to come to fruition, and I think that's where all this is going to lead with Paul Heyman, because like he'll come back, he'll say his spiel and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
Who's
he's
gonna
going
be
to
the
be
new
there
person?
more. There isn't going to be a new person.
Oh,
There
yeah,
Oh,
isn't.
see,
It's going to
that's
be
the whole.
Roman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
I was gonna go back to
yeah.
Roman
Like that's
because
the
I
whole
think
thing. It's just like
I
it's
thought
it's
like
just like
maybe Paul would be going to like a Braun Breaker like after all this, or like
I don't
somebody
think
new.
he needs them. I don't think he really need. I
mm-mm,
don't think Braun Breaker needs them, to be honest.
Okay.
no, like because that's the thing. Like Paul right now, like he's basically going to end up becoming a guide for them, where it's just like, okay, yeah, I could help you, but like it should be just like a kind of a last resort. Like
Yeah.
we legitimately
What
don't know what to do anymore. You know,
one
like
of the
he's going to
things
take.
that
Yeah.
one of the things I'd personally like is like I still feel like he's going to be involved in the story because it's really hard
Oh
not
yeah.
to see him involved in the story. I would honestly like him to like go up to Roman and be like, "Okay, what do you think we should do?"
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. That's it right there. You know,
Yeah,
and that's why I think like him using Sammy to get back into it. I think that's how we get Paul
yeah,
back into it, because like that
yeah,
could be part of his revenge towards bloodline.
yeah,
Again, lulling them into a false sense of security,
yeah,
using Sami Zayn in that, and
yeah,
then like maybe it could be a thing where it's just like, oh, maybe it's like 5-on-3 for war games, or like that's what it seems like. But then
yeah.
like go home week, like go home SmackDown is when
Yeah, go home.
the trigger is pulled and Sammy turns on Temu Bloodline, joins with the OG, and it's all because of Paul Heyman. So then you get the 4-on-4 war games match between the two bloodlines. Something like that. Something similar to that. I don't know. I'm trying to just throw anything out there because like they really
Yeah,
kind of threw me with this whole Sammy talking with Solo thing.
yeah,
So now I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw out any idea I can out
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm personally thinking that, um, I think when it comes to Sami Zayn,
Hmm.
like, I can't necessarily see him working alongside Solo and the rest of them
Mm-mm.
because
No.
he's trying to play the middleman. He's trying to be the one to bring peace and everything. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's eventually going to come down like a similar situation with Jay, but with like Roman, because Roman put him through a
Hmm.
lot of shit too. So we got to figure out exactly how we get to that destination and how it makes sense. And I feel like
Exactly.
with Sammy being here at the very least, it at least starts the story with him because obviously we
Hmm.
still have multiple directions to go down with Jimmy, Jay, and Roman. And now that Sammy's thrown into the mix, now we can see exactly how we're gonna get Sammy back to Jimmy, Jay, and all of them.
Yeah.
So that's why
Um.
with them throwing it in there just catches you off guard because I did see from a lot of
Hmm.
people online that was pretty much the biggest talking point throughout the
Yeah.
show, which I will admit that was probably the highlight to me because for the most part, I mean, look at us now. We're mainly talking about this, which there's no issues at all because we should be focusing on the highlight of what mattered most. So, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm just glad Sammy's finally getting involved now. So at least we
He's
know our
back
four.
home.
So at least we know our four heading into
Hmm.
Survivor Series. Even though we don't know if it's technically gonna be four, because you never know if it might end up turning into a 5-on-5 depending on what happens beyond that point. Because there's also
Yeah.
another spark in my head where I'm thinking that remember how Solo said with Roman there was consequences for his actions and everything?
Hmm.
Don't you think after a while Solo is gonna have to take consequences for his actions considering the amount of losses that he had?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
That's why I wouldn't be surprised down the line if Jacob Fatu himself just kicks them out of the bloodline they have now. I'm not even saying with
Who,
what's going
Solo?
on right here. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I'm not saying like right now. I'm just saying like a future. Well, you never know what really could happen
Hmm.
because it's wrestling. But
Yeah.
I can definitely see him getting kicked out because we still have Hikuleo that's signed, and I feel like
Hmm.
that's an easy replacement. I mean the guy's fucking huge, and you got the
Yeah.
three brothers together and with Jacob Fatu, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people would want to see him in a huge role like that anyway. But
Like, he finally
It's
talking and stuff, saying, "I love you, Solo."
No, yeah, because the guy can talk, he can cut good promos and stuff like that. I feel like once he breaks out of that shell that he's in right now, he's gonna take off. Like I feel like if
Oh,
anything,
definitely,
this would
definitely.
probably benefit him more than it is with Solo right now. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah. Now, so you brought up the idea of like Solo getting kicked out of this bloodline, and I guess crawling back to Roman or whatever. But
Yeah.
all right. So let's say all that happens, and we get like the 5 members of the OG bloodline together, and then Hikuleo joins the new bloodline. They're still down a member. Who would you put in there for like the new bloodline with that?
Oh no, I was talking about like beyond that, not Survivor Series. I was just saying.
Okay,
Like,
okay, good. Okay,
yeah.
cool. All right, good. Yeah, because like, so that actually kind of brings me to a point I did want to bring up, because like, there have been people that have been saying, they feel like that this story with Jay has felt a little rushed, and I do kind of see that. So I just want to kind of
I see
play.
it too.
Yeah, like I just want to play devil's avocado with that and all that. So it's like I see that, because like just looking at Jay's promo tonight about how he's saying, I made it on my own. I became Intercontinental Champion. It's just like, you say that, and you're right. However, it took you like almost a year to do that on your own. And within that year, you challenged for the world title a couple times. You challenged for the IC title multiple times. You became tag champion with Cody Rhodes once. That's where the whole Yeet thing came out. Like, most of your success didn't come until like the past month. So like, there's at least that aspect of it where it's just like I see it, I get it, and like it kind of backs up the whole claim that, oh, they only had Braun Breaker drop the title just so Jay could have that moment, So it kind of ties in with that. So like, I do get those criticisms with it. I just think like the writing is at least good enough right now where it's just like it doesn't bother me too much,
Yeah, that's the thing, because like I understand all the criticism.
Yeah.
But if I'm like trying to look at it from like a story perspective, I can understand why they went down the direction they did, because any other way wouldn't really make sense. It's like if we were going down a route for revenge, we would have to have a motive. We wouldn't just act out on revenge without a motive. We would have to have a motive that would make us want to act out on revenge.
Exactly. Oh man. But is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up with the bloodline stuff we got tonight? Because I think we hit a lot of good marks with it.
Yeah. The only other thing I will say is I'll just save like the rest of my thoughts for Friday, because I feel like we could probably dive a little deeper into like what happens beyond that show, and hopefully on Crown Jewel we get some sort of answers, because I did see something on Twitter. I'm not sure if you guys saw it when it came to a match.
No, I didn't. The only thing I got spoiled on with SmackDown was the end result of Jay going back to SmackDown. Like that's the only thing I was spoiled on.
Yeah.
So I don't know what exactly was said, all that stuff. So it's just like, okay, cool, neat.
Just hopefully we get like a little more fuel to put into the engine on Friday, so we can like have a little conversation there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and transition over here. So we didn't have much of our world title tonight, or even the Crown Jewel title stuff. It was just like a video package to hype up the match on Friday. So
They did show the belt, though.
I feel like cool, great, awesome. Like, belt looks great, as always.
Trash. It looks ugly.
So we'll probably have more to talk about with that on Friday. So we'll just kind of transition now to our mid-card stories. So we're going to talk now about Dirty Ass Dom main eventing the night against Damian Priest. So the whole week we get the buildup of, oh, Dom's got to face a former world champion in order to even have a number one contenders match for the world title. It's like, all right, cool, great. Who's it going to be? And, a lot of people thought it was going to be Priest. I wanted to be a chaotic god and be like, oh, send Goldberg out there. That'd be funny. That'd be great. That'd be cool. But no, we ended up getting Priest. So hey, we're not done with the Judgment Day stuff still. But yeah,
the whole story.
it kind of does, especially when they come in here and meet up with Pierce, and he tells them, "Hey, you're gonna have to face Priest." And the main takeaway from this segment, and even like the
Finn was a
match part
salty ass
itself,
bitch.
yeah, Finn just walks away. Like he's like he's dealt with Priest before, he knows his weaknesses and all that stuff, but then like Dom's just saying, "Hey, I want to do this on my own, so I don't need you guys. I don't want you guys out there." And Finn just walks away, and that's all we see of Finn the rest of the night. Like even when we get to the match, like the Judgment Day end up interfering and all that, but like no Finn. Even after the post match beatdown, still no Finn. You know, but I mean, Dom winning by a surprise roll up, that's something, I guess. It's a win, I guess. But
I
I don't know.
honestly,
I was not feeling this.
honestly did not expect that win for Dom, to be honest, but makes sense. If you're gonna have somebody like Dom that is gonna be probably fighting Gunther now in the future since he got his first W, so that's pretty cool for him. Congrats for our boy Dominik Mysterio, and I'm on a high for Dom because I heard his podcast with Chris, so I got a bit of insight for Dom. But when it came to the segment, I love how Dom was like, "Yo, I could be anybody, no worries, I got this." And then once he found out it was Damian, like, "Oh, no worries, I got it." You know, but why don't nobody believe me? It was I felt like an awkward moment with your friends in high school where one of your friends has a problem with another friend in the same group of five, for example, and then the other three are just awkward with Fenda because you guys know about that issue. And that's what it felt like. Where it's weird to see Finn just faded out of nowhere. He didn't say a word. JD wouldn't follow. But then Carlitos, he looked like in the back like he was mad confused. Like, damn, who do I support? Do I be here, over there? So it just felt like them trying to show this awkward rift now with the Judgment Day, because they're probably hearing from the fans and audience where it's starting to get stale. So now they're trying to add more drama with Finn now, with Dom now, or Finn is not liking how he's becoming forgettable. It's like, my guy, once you get the tag titles, you became forgettable. So what the fuck?
Yeah, like I don't know how I feel about all this, because it's like you guys kicked out Rhea and Damian, and now we're just gonna possibly break up the whole group. I don't know. I feel like maybe the group should have just broken up to begin with. Anyways, I don't know. Drop. What did you feel about all this? If you felt anything at all, because like we're still prolonging the whole Judgment Day story.
I mean, like it's like I mentioned earlier. Like the main issue I have with this story, I don't know why I'm starting to get all this energy all of a sudden, probably because of the caffeine. But the main issue I have with this story is that it contradicts everything that happened at Bad Blood. Because if you really wanted to prolong the story and have it make sense with the sort of direction that you're trying to have it go down now, you should have never had Damian Priest beat Finn Balor, because that's almost like Rhea Ripley beats Liv Morgan, she gets her title back, but she's still dealing with Liv Morgan after she got her title back. It just doesn't make sense, because the end of the story, Rhea gets her revenge, she gets her title back. The end of the story for Damian was to get his revenge on Finn for being an asshole to him, and just moving on from that. You got rid of the issue, you got a clean win over him. There was nobody out there helping him at all whatsoever. So it's like Priest doesn't really have a reason to really associate with them anymore. So it's almost like they're just getting Priest involved with them because they don't really have anything else to do with them, which it kind of sucks, because I mean, if I would have wrote this, I would have just had Finn win, because at least the way that Finn is acting on the shows would make sense, because then Finn can be like, well, I beat Damian, why should I give a shit why should I give a shit that happens next? I mean, you guys can go do whatever you want. I don't really
Yeah.
care. I mean, that would make more sense. So
I
it's
agree.
kind of like everything's flipped. And Finn needed the win anyway, because that's why I mentioned to you earlier, Watkins. Like, I don't hate the Judgment Day. I think the Judgment Day has had some pretty good moments throughout the year, and they have been very good to see on television when it came to the sort of stories that are being told. But when it comes to how they're being presented right now, like, you remember how they used to come out every single time saying that Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw? It really doesn't feel like that anymore. And that was their whole thing. It's almost like, Seth Rollins coming out saying, this is Monday Night Rollins. You get that feeling because Seth brings that to you every time you see him on screen. With Judgment Day, it's like, it doesn't really feel like that anymore, because it's almost like they're second fiddle. They don't really matter as much anymore. They don't really get those top moments throughout the show, because now you have Bloodline focus on Raw and SmackDown, which it makes sense given what's going on right now. But if you wanted to really build like another story, especially with how they were treating Judgment Day, which was pretty much like their next Bloodline story of everything that was going on, you could have easily just laid things out that made more sense. Because when I found out that we were finally getting into Finn Balor and Damian Priest, I was excited, because there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of different directions that you can go down with that. You can go from when they first joined Judgment Day, you can build off of that and look at where they are now, and you could talk about the tensions that they had, which I really liked the build up. Actually, no, I can't really say I like the build up through Bad Blood, because it was very lackluster. But it's like, I don't want to come on here and complain about things, because when we come on here and talk about wrestling, we want to talk about the things that we liked. We don't want to be in a situation where we have to say a certain thing about something because we don't like it. It's just, we don't want to hide our feelings and how we feel about something, because one of the main reasons why people criticize things is because they care about what they're watching. They want things to be better. And when you come out here and you do shows like this and you critique things and you lay out your own opinions on stuff, it sort of lets them know that, maybe we got to throw something in there that really gets the audience intrigued for what's going to happen next. Whatever's going on with Judgment Day, it's just constant beatdown after constant beatdown.
Yeah.
And it's not really like anything that's really captivating to me.
And plus, what it feels it feels very disappointing when you have JD, who's the world tag titles champion of Monday Night Raw, but being thrown down like a ragdoll by Damian Priest. I get it. Damian Priest is a 6'5" person with 280 pounds. I get it. He has probably have a strong right hook. But JD is being a champion, and I feel like he's being treated like a cruiserweight, when I believe me and Drop spoke about it a couple weeks, or I think on the channel on our Discord, where JD has a great track record from NXT on the USA or on the NXT on the UK. Both sides were great from JD. He has great mic skills, and for him to just be like the best friend who tags along with Finn, it's like, nah, you also can stand on your own ground. So I feel very disappointed about that.
See, a lot of that would be fixed if they had Finn and JD actually freaking wrestle on the show. If they would have them actually like defend the titles, like that part would be fixed then, and that would be fine. Because like with JD's character right now, like, because it's different from like his NXT days, because like he is the punching bag. Him and Carlito, that is their job. But like, you would fix that problem that you guys have with JD by having him and Finn actually freaking wrestle on the wrestling show, you know, like.
Yeah, and that was my main issue with like the whole tag titles being on them. It was the same issue I had with the Bloodline. They just have the titles on them for props to make them look cool. That's all. And at least the
Bloodline like defended them though. They defended them.
They did,
bit, you know.
Oh no, I agree, they did. But it's also glad that they're off of them now, because at least it goes. Because at least it's showing that Triple H wants to mold the tag division back to the way it is, because you have two ongoing stories that's going on with that, with SmackDown and Raw. So SmackDown issue is fixed. Well, I can't really say fixed. We'll see where it goes, but at least it's heading down the right direction. And judging on what we saw tonight, which we'll talk about later, I'm hoping it's the exact same thing too, because they really do not need those titles.
They
They
don't.
don't
And
at all.
and I can't even really say, like with the Bloodline, it's like I said before, the Bloodline story's big enough. They don't need the titles. I can't really say without the World Tag Titles, the story's big enough on its own to really stand out, because
It's not no more. It's not.
It's not. It's very
It fell
cold.
down. Question: Did I would love to? I don't know if it's anybody else, but I just thought of this. A little idea struck in my head, or brain blast is what I'm gonna call it from now on. Did anybody would like to see JD versus Braun Breaker in the future for the IC title, or have JD have a singles career?
I would-
I'm not sure if that happened in NXT. I don't recall, but I would like to see something
yeah,
with
it's
JD
possible.
having some having like a single run on the main roster, or go for the mid card. Get back on top with the audience, because he deserves it. I like JD as a wrestler. He's very good, very agile. He has some great matches with Dragon E before they both move up to the main roster.
Outside promotions, he's put on a banger match with Gunther.
Yep, that too. I heard.
So it's like I would definitely like that, because when people first saw that he was heading to the main roster, they were excited because they know how good of a wrestler he is, and he had a very good match with Dragon Lee before he left and went up
I
to the main
remember that
roster. And then we saw something start with Dolph Ziggler, and we thought it was going to lead to something, but it didn't. So it's like, he's a great wrestler. He has a lot of potential to really grow into something. Like, he would definitely be a very good mid-carder. He would be able to put on good matches with Braun Breaker or whoever else is involved with that. It's just he's not really allowed to really spread his wings and do anything. And the whole reason why he was put into Judgment Day was to help him get over it. Worked for other people like Priest and Rhea. I can't really say Finn, because Finn, people already gave a shit about Finn.
Yeah.
But with JD, it hasn't really been doing anything.
It hasn't.
Yeah,
Honestly, it didn't help with Priest just constantly putting him down like that, though.
That's
Like,
so, yeah.
and that's what
Yeah, it
sucks
makes
about
him
his
look like-
character right now, because JD's character again is just he's just the punching bag of the group, and
Yeah.
it kind of sucks. Like, and that's why the Judgment Day just needs to just end. Like,
Yeah,
it just needs to end. It just
No
needs
lie.
to break apart. Like,
The Judgment Day was a group I would have liked to have seen continue, but now with how it has failed within story, like, I don't mind if, for example, Rhea and Damian wants to take that name back. Sure, I have no problem. But with the current Judgment Day roster, and also Raquel, like, girl just stands there, and I feel bad for Raquel, because I'm not sure if she herself feels comfortable in this role, in the outfits, and everything, because I feel like she's like, the outfit she's working, it doesn't work for her. It doesn't look like it works for her style as Raquel. Like, and her just standing there as security, which I feel like you're just standing there as your friend, and like, I don't feel the bodyguard role that Raquel's supposed to have. Or like, I would have preferred if Raquel had some type of shield type of outfit or gear, but her version, that would have been something more intriguing of what I kind of envision of what a bodyguard would be, or something that in something like her stature of strong, build, tall, trying to protect Liv Morgan, over something for Rhea, like, you should actually protect the role. But I feel like she's just part of the group, and part of the Mean Girl squad. That's what I'm getting at.
well, it doesn't really fit the Judgment Day aesthetic to have like body armor. Like, maybe like the gothic, like if they went the gothic route, but then like that's the thing,
almost
they
copying
even
Rhea.
pivoted. They pivoted from that whole look to now just street trash bull crap, and it's like, why are we even incorporating that aspect to it? But like, I do want to pivot back just really quickly mainly with Finn Balor with all this, because I feel like the main crux with him, and I think this is why he kind of walked away with all this, is I think he's so fixated on getting that world title. He is so like just laser focused on that like I feel like he's just kind of done with the Judgment Day in that aspect, because like I think his character's gonna realize that they've reached the ceiling as a group.
But then
they
it
kicked
hurts. But then it hurts to see that kind of attitude from Finn when he's holding a world title on his shoulder/waist. Yes, it's a tag title, but when you don't care enough for your own title and you want something else, it makes the current title he's holding kind of feel pointless, kind of feel meaningless. When like you
Yeah.
literally are going for another title that's worth, but it's a singles, the main title of your show,
Mhm.
but you only have one title on your show, and you're holding your world version, and you're not even putting the same love for it. So it's like you're also contradicting your own actions.
Well, see, well, no, not necessarily, because it's like
No,
for him, that's a consolation prize. That's
it is. Really.
I can't get the world title, so now I have to settle for a tag team title, and it's just like, well, now I have freaking I have Dominik Mysterio here saying I want to challenge for a world title. It's like I can understand Finn in that aspect, because like there's a huge chip on Finn's shoulder, because I know it's going to be like a broken record with every single freaking time he goes for a world title, but it's like
Oh
you
yeah,
look back at 2016 when he was like he had a rocket strapped to him the first night he had on Raw. Rocket was put onto his back and he got shot to the moon with it. He went to SummerSlam, became the first Universal Champion, and within 24 hours he had to drop that thing. And
that
that
really killed his
stopped
momentum.
his momentum.
Exactly.
That stopped
Yeah,
everything for him, you
that was a
know.
big
And
part of
like
him and Seth's story last year.
Yep.
exactly, like and that's a part with like every single time he's going to be challenging for a world title, because he never truly got that shot, you know. Because like when you look at back at reports from that back then, it was just like he was supposed to be the one having the big feud with Kevin Owens. You know, he was supposed to be the one that was like having these awesome matches and like all that stuff, but like he couldn't, you know, and he never recovered from that. And that's going to be eating at his character so much, because I'm sure that the real life Finn Balor, whatever his real name is, that's escaping me right now. I'm sure it
Yeah.
eats at him too, because it's just like it's one of those what ifs in wrestling where it's just like, what if his shoulder like didn't blow out or whatever? Like,
That's
what if he was actually able to have that title run?
That's what I was about to ask you guys
Yeah.
as well. Like the real Finn Balor, like the actual person that
Mhm.
plays that role, is probably also actually hurt. Like what we see on screen is probably not just part of an act or part of a play. He
Yeah.
actually feels that way. He's actually angry. He's actually pissed off that he cannot be part of something he was, because he lost that one opportunity because his body gave out. As any human being, there's many things I regret in my own athletic career in sports in high school and in college years. So I understand where Finn is coming from, and when you gotta do in the story,
Yeah.
it feels more real. But sucks at Finn where he knows what he's doing is a role, but also it eats you inside that the role you're doing
Mhm.
feels close to home.
Yeah. So I can kind of understand Finn in this aspect. And when they eventually have their tag title match with our new number one contenders here, they could easily just drop him.
Oh,
I mean,
please lose.
Maybe Finn could just
Uh,
maybe Finn would just walk away from the match.
Oh, that would add layers if he actually did. It just
Yeah.
that would actually bring something so
I
many
mean-
questions.
I mean that's the thing too, because he recently signed a pretty big deal, so you would
Mhm.
assume there's probably something thrown in there for him, because it's
Yeah.
not just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sign and that's that. There's obviously some things he probably talked about that he wanted in order for him to grow with his character. So
I assume
I
next
would
year it's his
hope-
push. I hope as well.
no, yeah. So I'm hoping that, I mean, they more than likely are dropping those titles. Like I said, there's really no benefit for them to really have it anyway, because it's just a prop, just like how it was at Bloodline. It's just a prop, just to throw something shiny on them for them to stand out. That's why we have this whole tournament thing being played out, and that's why the War Raiders are being pushed the way they are, because they obviously want to have better
Mhm.
presentation and stuff like that. But I mean, like, honestly, I personally think with him losing the titles, even though he probably doesn't give a shit about it anyway, just looking at how he is on television, I think that only benefits them more than anything.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to keep watching and all that. I mean, again, Dom winning with a surprise roll up against Priest. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he got beaten down at the end of the match. Fine, whatever. It just, I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, we'll see where that
Yeah.
goes, I guess. I mean, he'll eventually, I guess, challenge Gunther,
definitely.
which
Oh, we'll definitely
Oh,
do that.
I already know what he ate after Raw. He ate some chicken nuggets to celebrate.
Yeah.
oh, of course he
Yeah.
did. He eats chicken tendies
I mean,
every
that's gonna be a
single
bit.
night.
Yeah, that's gonna be a beatdown whenever it happens. So I'm not.
Oh
Really,
my god,
like,
I can't wait for it.
I hope he tweets
I'm not even-
again. I hope Gunther
I'm
be
just
like,
glad that.
I'm playing this guy. I beat him last time.
Oh my gosh. But talking about beatdowns, so we had another quote unquote face to face tonight with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. So Seth comes out, goes out to the ring, says, he's being reminded just what he's capable of as an athlete, just as a performer and all that. And he gets cut off by Bronson Reed, who's in the parking lot. Seth goes for it, and they have a big old brawl where, like, it ends up with Seth doing a stomp on Bronson Reed onto a car. Bronson Reed just shaking that off, and then doing a Death Valley driver to Seth on, like, this set of tables, sending Seth to the hospital. So, if you guys remember during my intro for this episode tonight, I had mentioned that a match might end up getting called off for Saturday, and that it wouldn't surprise me. This is the match I'm talking about. It would not surprise me if we get to Friday and they're like, yeah, Seth's not able to compete. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it would not surprise me at
Look,
all.
I'm gonna say two things.
I hope not.
I hope not. I agree with what Job said because Bronson Reed better win this fight against Seth because he needs to go over and punish and be outcoming in his favor. Two,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw the tweet as well I sent in the group chat that there's a 7 match added to Crown Jewel. Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jay versus Solo and the Bloodline.
Wait, did that get? Hold on.
I wrote it on the Weebs of the Ring
'Cause
chat.
Well, I saw a tweet that, like, was teasing that.
Well, it says official and everything, and I saw it from the WWE as well.
Oh, I mean that's.
Hold on.
So that means most likely, if one of them gets pulled, if not, Crown Jewel has 7 matches, and that is interesting. So we have 7 matches in Crown Jewel. It's something I did not expect. And if this match does not get pulled, like Watkins is predicting, I hope it doesn't, because I would love to see Bronson Reed actually deserve and get his Paley Eat match that he was supposed to have versus Seth Rollins back in Elimination Chamber.
Oh wait, there's.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. There's a video of the Judgment Day backstage. Hold on, I'm gonna mute myself while I hear this. Keep going. Keep going.
Copy, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm jumping around.
I'll speak on like my thoughts on this segment. So like going off of like Watkins was saying, like I'm hoping this match doesn't get canned, mainly because if you think about it, realistically, would it make sense for Seth to really be taken out like that, considering, I mean, you compare how he got taken out tonight compared to how he got taken out originally when it came to those 6 tsunamis, it would kind of make him look weak in a way, if you get what I'm trying to say. It's, it just took one Death Valley driver to not have you on the show, but yet again you got 6 tsunamis and it had a bigger effect anyway. It doesn't really make any sense. But like I don't,
it can take the realism out of it. Like, you taking one thing in the parking lot, it takes you out for 6 tsunamis. It kind of, going back towards Pat McAfee of him comparing, the 6 kangaroos, the 10 elephants, all those things of how big and strong those tsunamis are compared to one thing in the parking lot. It doesn't compare, so I agree.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, Bronson Reed definitely needs to go over in this match because, like I said before, Seth Rollins is already established, and one of the main reasons why Bronson Reed is in this match to begin with is because he wants to be treated like a main event star. He wants people to actually know who he is, what he's capable of, and what sort of things he can bring to the table. And just judging on what we've seen of him tonight, when it came to the brute force that he brings, and when it shows, like, who he is as a person, I mean, I think that pretty much shows tonight, just based on what he did to Seth Rollins, that he needs to beat Seth Rollins to really establish himself. Because if Seth Rollins wants to if Seth Rollins wants to have another match at Bronson Reed and win, or whatever the case may be, so be it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like Bronson Reed definitely needs it more because that's only going to enhance him. Because then you can insert him into, let's say, another IC title opportunity, or maybe down the line he challenges Gunther, wherever the case may be. It just only puts him in the spot where it's like, okay, Seth's not here. All of our other top guys aren't here. Oh, look, there's Bronson Reed. We can put him into a program. He's established. People believe in him. I mean, people are behind the tsunami. People cheer for it. They want to see it. They want to see a lot of destruction for him. So now they have another guy that they can look into and be like, you know what? We can go places with him because we actually built him up really well. Because this is the best version of Bronson Reed. He's taken off. People are always excited to see him. And I honestly feel like this is just a must-win for him. If Seth Rollins does go over, will I be surprised? No, because I'll only put it this way, because I'm Team Bronson Reed here, because I feel like he deserves to win the most. But the only reason why I said I wouldn't be surprised if Seth goes over is because obviously you would have to keep in mind that Seth never really got his lick back towards Bronson Reed when it came to all the shit that he put him through. So looking at what happened tonight and all the other stuff that happened before, you can't really argue and say, well, it doesn't really make sense for Seth to win, when it does because of what Bronson Reed put him through. So if anything, it does make sense for him to win. So if Seth does win, I wouldn't be surprised because there's some sense behind it. But with Bronson Reed, it's just much more needed because that's something that you could at least do something with. I know this is just a program for the meantime until we start getting a little closer to WrestleMania. Then we can start doing the Punk stuff. But Bronson definitely needs it more.
My assumption is that if we have... Oh, my apologies. I'll just say mine real quick.
I was gonna say if Seth... yeah, go ahead.
If Seth Rollins does win this round, it most likely will go to round 2 in Survivor Series, where Bronson Reed will take that W, and then I don't know when the third one will be. Probably at the main event, already in December. And 2, Seth Rollins is hilarious. I don't know if anybody noticed the clip or saw when Seth Rollins came out the ring to go run to Bronson Reed. My dude had a jacket of the 2 of the same, where he took off one jacket, he had the same thing under each other. And I'm like, Seth, only you would do this. You would literally have 2 of the same thing on each other.
Now, the only thing I was gonna say is that if Seth does end up going over, it's mainly to probably build him up for Gunther, because especially if do what?
We say build Bronson for Gunther, you said?
No, Seth for Gunther. Because if reports are to be believed or whatever, like Seth and Punk might be for the title, like for the world title and all that. So like, as much as I love Punk, as much as I love Punk, I don't see him beating Gunther. No. But I could see Rollins beating Gunther.
I see that.
But yeah, but that's just hypothetical if that were to happen and all that, because like, that goes into Punk and Seth feud. Yeah. I don't have really anything else to add. I mean,
no, I don't.
The only thing I'll say is if it doesn't get canned on Saturday, add a stipulation to it.
Yeah, definitely needs a stipulation because the amount of stuff we've been seeing with them throughout, like just making a no holds barred match or like something simple like that.
Like nothing too extravagant. Just no DQ, no holds barred.
Yeah, just something that is simple yet not too long for it. And 2, my last thoughts about this is that I love how Seth came out the ring and Bronson Reed literally told the audience like, "Hey, I promise Adam Pearce that I will not be starting a fight in the ring. So I'm here in the parking lot for you to come towards me." And I love how Seth literally got clickbaited towards like, "All right, cool, I'll go there." And the most funny shit, because I don't know if we're going to bring it up for the rest of the night. Yeah, I don't think so. Adam Pearce was hilarious when he literally was telling people, he was telling Nick, out of all people, to the SmackDown manager, say, hey, Yeah, so I said the SmackDown manager, he told him like, "Hey, you gotta control people," and I'm like, "Bro, you are the last person. You're already having two people in the
Yeah.
fucking parking lot, literally having a brawl, and you calling Nick Aldis in the beginning of the show saying that, hey, you gotta control your people. They're just coming here. I agree for Jimmy and Jay to do their thing, not the fucking bloodline, bro. So control Bronson. What the fuck did you have him? You should have had him Skype call or Zoom call. You know damn well these two people would have fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But look, as cool as Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins is, as cool and awesome as the Judgment Day are, as badass as the Bloodline are you guys ready to have a 5-hour discussion about Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega facing off one-on-one?
To be honest, it happened so fast that I feel like I saw it, but then I didn't see it. And while you was doing the transition, I was questioning myself, like, did I actually see the match happen? All I remember was Zelina smacking Avena with a Zendaya, and then it was, I don't know what translation, but I, I went from Spanish to English in my head, then I got stuttered there.
I was like, wait, what?
She smacked Ivan out with the sandal, and then after that, they just started the match. Or I remember that the brothers, the Creed brothers, interrupted it and hurt the WO. They had their little scruffle outside, and then we had Ivan out do a roll up, and then she won.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Well, no, Ivy hit her finisher and all that, but
Yeah.
interesting that you said it went by fast, because this was slow as hell. Like, which is weird, okay? Because like, Zelina's better than this. Like, she's put on better matches than what she did tonight. So I don't know if it's just like her and Ivy's styles just didn't clash, or
it was the first time they worked together on screen, or probably in general. So that's my guess of how the match was slow. 'Cause, like, I do agree the match was slow. It just went fast for me because I was busy doing things. So I saw the beginning, middle, but I didn't see no in between. So that's why I feel like for me the match was so fast. Like, I didn't feel like I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, again, good that they had television time, but I had no feelings towards it other than I wish Zelina looked better in the match, because she's a lot better than what she had tonight. So maybe it was just an off night. Who knows?
I
versus Zendaya.
I wonder what this will be.
My name for?
I wonder what would this mean after for. I mean, I got the W. Now, what does this mean for Zelina Vega next? Like, we've been hyping her up. There's a whole her audience or fans has been tweeting saying, for her to be on screen, for her to, for her to do her thing, and I'm very happy. I'm a fan of Zelina, but also I am a fan of Avena, but I prefer Zelina out of these two. Like, we had the Weebs Of the Ring tweet also say the same thing. I just wonder what is next for them. Like, this match happened. We haven't gotten the Pure Fusion collection in a while either. It's been 4 weeks since we haven't seen them. Just to give the quick reminder for anybody that's forgotten. Yes. So we haven't seen them on screen.
Haven't even noticed.
They have come to work. We have seen their IG videos or their TikToks or their Twitter. I have seen them. They have gone to work, but they just haven't actually been. Probably they're at the dark shows. Who knows? But I'm curious to see what's next for Zelina in the next coming weeks. If we're gonna have this feud of LWO with the American Made, is that gonna be a thing? Because I'm not interested.
Well, I mean, there's one aspect of it that I'm interested in, which I'm gonna use to transition to the next match, because this one has a little bit more things to talk about. Unless Drop, did you have anything to say about Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega
as your favorite match of the night?
That's why I asked you before. I don't know why you mentioned my name in chat and even say anything.
Great, moving on, because hey, we had the LWO taking on the New Day versus the War Raiders in a #1 contenders match for the tag team titles. This was an awesome triple threat tag team match. In the middle of the show, we had the War Raiders, they were booked pretty strong, not only just as, you know, a returning talent, but just as them in general, just as big, strong men. With Woods still being the uber heel, New Day about to finish off the match, obviously, but Woods gets distracted by Rey Mysterio, tries to take him out, ends up getting taken out his own self. Rey goes for a 619, but is then taken out by Chad Gable with a good old ankle lock. And this gives enough time for the War Raiders to take down Kofi Kingston and win the match. Again,
Yeah.
I thought this match was awesome. Kind of wish it was the main event, but I guess they want to build up Dom and Damian Priest more. I don't know, whatever. But like the match, I'm more intrigued with, you know, kind of tying in with the match previous to this. Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio. I think they can put on a banger of a match, and having Chad Gable go over Rey will do wonders for his stock.
I'm not interested. I'm not. I love Chad Cable. I'm just not interested for the Rey Mysterio match of them two. Like, I just I lost the fire for Rey Mysterio to see what he's doing right now with the LWO. Like anything involved with the LWO, I'm not interested in it. And it hurts me saying that. It hurts me saying not interested to enter the LWO because even Joe, I think, said this tonight that this was Zelina being the first member of the LWO that female, I believe is what he said, which was something I didn't know. I thought we have had other female superstars in the LWO before, but if that was information that I was unaware about, I'm like, cool, that's new. So just to know that LWO has a possibility to splash waves or actually have a presence and it doesn't feel anything, so that's what I'm excited for. Like if it actually cooks something, yes, give it to me. But right now, by estimate only, I'm not here for it.
Hmm. Not here for Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio.
Yes, not here for it.
What about you, Drop?
I mean, I mean, I don't really. The only result about this that I really cared for was the War Raiders going over. That's the only thing I
Same.
was really looking into heading into this.
Oh yeah,
match,
no, that was
because-
cool and all that.
Yeah, because it's clear as day that they're the ones that they're really trying to push when it comes to this tournament, just like how it was with the Motor City Machine Guns on SmackDown's end. So that's the only part I really took out of this match, because whatever's going on with LWO, I do not really care about. I mean, I'd personally have Dragon Lee go off on his own and do what he needs to do, because
Yeah.
I get why they have him aligned with Ray, because they want to use Ray to help him get over and stuff like that. But realistically, he could get over on his own. I mean, you don't see Braun Breaker becoming buddy with Sheamus or whatever to try to help enhance himself. I mean, he did that on his own. Same with Carmelo Hayes. He's doing things on his own. So it's like with Dragon Lee, he could simply just put on good matches, stand out, and then you could have people look at him and be like, okay, you know, this is a dude I should really be paying attention to. So it's like LWO, like Vash, I don't really care about them that much. I think they're very boring right now. And
y'all
with
might-
New Day,
Uh-huh.
and with New Day, they already have something going on. To them winning this
Yeah.
tournament doesn't really benefit them, because well, you got to look at it from this perspective. If LWO wins, how does that benefit them? How does it benefit
no.
New Day? New Day already has something going on. If them winning number one contenders tournament and then going up against Judgment Day and then losing, it doesn't really do anything really, because they already have an ongoing story that's probably far more interesting than what's going on right now. Like this is just something that would kind of feel like unsettling with them if they did win.
Exactly.
The War Raiders are getting rebranded for a
Yes.
reason, because Triple H wants
Yeah.
them to be taken seriously.
And just to add towards what Drop was saying, look, Chad Gable with Rey Mysterio, like, yes, the match could cook, the match could be great, but involving themselves with WWO, I'm like, nah, I'd rather you handle yourself with somebody else. With WWO, it's like, I feel like it's comparing it to Live of Valkyria, you know, teaming up with the 2Ks or with
apparently
That
Zelina.
is completely different. That is completely different than that.
I just
'Cause,
feel
like,
like
at least
the ma-
LWO as a group are more established than Lyra
Yeah.
putting herself with the boring girls. And
I'm not gonna call
I think
them, but
y'all
yes, I see where you're coming
misinterpreting
from.
what I meant. I think you guys are misinterpreting what I meant by that. Because, like, I don't give a shit about LWO. Everybody knows this. I have been very vocal about this. I don't give
don't
two
either.
shits about them. I give a shit about pushing Chad Gable, and him having a banger match with Rey Mysterio is going to do wonders for him. And that's what
no.
I care about in this part.
Is Ray gonna actually let him win? That's the question, because Ray sometimes
here's
be
the thing.
winning.
As long as he's not sponsored.
I mean, all I'll say to what you guys said is it's actually Dragon Lee, not Rey Mysterio. It's Fightful put Chad Gable versus Dragon Lee set for next Monday's Raw.
Oh.
So it's actually Dragon Lee and Chad.
Why? But they both need the push, and they both need the
Fuck. Okay, now this is tough. Okay, now this I care about.
Yeah.
Because now it.
I mean, I will admit I kind of care more about this match.
Yeah, so now if you would have said that 10 minutes ago, our whole conversation about Chad and Ray to literally just destroy.
The thing with Ray, no. The thing with Ray, though, is like, the thing is,
Ray
he's a
could eat the
freaking
loose.
legend in the business. But that's the thing. He can, but see, on paper, it's literally the things on paper. And we've mentioned this before. It's literally like on paper, Chad Gable beats Hall of Famer legend Rey Mysterio. And that's something like when you put it into the aspect of like like an RPG, so to say. It's just like, okay, Rey Mysterio is like a mini boss kind of thing. It's like, he's not a champion or anything, but he is like a mini boss, like a mid boss or whatever. So like for Chad Gable to beat them. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, okay, Chad Gable beats him, gets all that he needs, and like now he can level up a bit, Like that's what I'm trying to get across with this. But like,
I mean,
then they're gonna give us Dragon Lee and Chad Gable, which yes, that's gonna slap. But it's like neither of them I feel like should or could should lose, It's
yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
oh,
They brought
damn.
them. They booked themselves in a corner again.
Why did you babes do
like,
that? Why?
See, and that's been an ongoing theme too, because they put people in matches that neither of them need a loss. I mean, look at the whole. I don't really care about the Liv Morgan and Nia Jax match, but look look at Cody and Gunther. Neither of them need a loss right now, and you're booking
None of
them
them
to have a match.
Again.
So it's like we're running, not even them, but you're running into a lot of scenarios where neither of these guys need a loss, because Chad Gable needs momentum that was lost a couple months ago. Dragon Lee hasn't really had a proper footing yet.
No, so just to have them lose, like one of them is gonna get lost. Hopefully,
at least with Ray wouldn't hurt, because
exactly.
it doesn't really matter.
Like with Ray would have been fine. Look, Ray, you taking the L tonight. You're gonna push Chad. You do your thing. Ray will be like, yeah, I'm not sponsored tonight. Yeah, I could lose, no problem. Boom.
You see, guys, how they turn around? You see, guys, how they turn around on my original idea? Huh. It's almost like,
I don't know why they...
Look, sir. We have option now, because now I prefer Ray losing now. I care about this match where Ray could lose. Before now, I have Dragon Lee, who I care about, because you have
who ate the pin in this match? I forgot.
In what, the tag match?
Yeah.
It was War Raiders.
Kofi.
On Kofi, yeah. It was War Raiders on Kofi.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Kofi? Kofi ate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, like,
no, you see chat, you see how they turn around, you see how they come around to the old walk pool, you see how this happens? Oh yeah, why so serious? Oh yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you for saying it for me.
Scars.
Look.
Want to know how I got these scars? Well, that's because Liv Morgan.
Nope. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Nope. Nope. Thoughts. Stay quiet. Nope. Anyway, while Drop goes and steps away real quick, I'm gonna say one thing about the New Day. Since he brought up who lost, the New Day lost. And something about the New Day, if anybody was on social media, because this is gonna transition us to our next conversation as well. It beautifully connects. We have
because I feel like we've said enough about like the tag team scene.
Just note that we're excited for the World Raiders to take the W next week, because the Warriors are gonna win. So we have two people, the Machine Gun, Motor City or Motor City Machine Gun, whichever goes first.
There you go.
They won. They are taking the face of SmackDown Tag Team. And I can't wait for War Raiders, and I can't wait to see what they cook up. I did not get to say my hypeness on Friday, but those are my quick words. I could talk about more on this coming Friday. So, hypeness. 2, when it comes to Kofi and our boy Xavier Woods, he had some couple of emotions that he had to express to social media, because our boy Xavier, he chose not to help our truth last week, when the White Six and when the Final Testament came to attack our truth. But then Xavier had to tell like almost a 3-minute. If you take out the first 30 seconds of him just doing jump rope, because he wanted us to watch that, and then the whole next 2 minutes is him explaining to the audience, us, that he'd been told by the audience, us, saying that, hey, the White Six will come after you because you betray your family. I don't know if anybody watched it, but I will give you the clip notes. The version is he told the audience that, how and why am I going to get attacked by the White Six when I'm protecting my family? I'm protecting my family, and my family is Kofi. I told him, why are we going to jump in with a Final Testament while he's jumping R-Truth? R-Truth chose to attack the Miz. R-Truth chose to be there and stay with the Final Testament and get jumped. Why am I going to cause to bring you and myself, that who got contestant for next week to become the number 1 contender? But if we went out there, I may lose Kofi or may lose myself to not be in the match next week, because that's what happened. And he expressed that this happened 6 months ago when he lost Kofi to go for the tag titles as well. So he chose to protect his family. So I love how he gave these facts, these reasoning, why the White Six shouldn't attack him, and why the ideas of how, hey, I'm going for me and I'm going for who I am, which is he's going for the singles title against Jay. He lost, but he's going for his single, but then he's going for the tag titles with Kofi because he keeps bringing up the 10-year anniversary. So all those things was very fascinating. There was another second clip, which was like a 20-second one, where Kofi said it himself. Sorry, R-Truth chose to give a dat to Kofi, but then ignore Xavier Woods. So how do you guys feel about this? Even continuing on with R-Truth, he chose to even smack the Miz when he pretended to get along with him. So R-Truth is now standing on his ground, and I love how also kayfabe is alive.
I mean, yeah. I don't have any other comment than yeah. I mean, as they should. Again, it's just another instance of keeping your baby faces like smart, like making your baby faces smart, and
Xavier
like
Woods is
understand
giving
like
his opinion.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, again, it's the whole justified heel thing too. Like, but like mainly with R-Truth, like, and especially with the small segment we had in the back, he's kind of smartened up a bit. He's been like, I don't need you, Miz. I'm fine on my own. People told me that you're kind of a dick. And you know what? I believe them. So I'm going to trick you a little bit. And you're going to die, sucker. Having to deal with the Wyatt Six and all that. Because, like, I love this whole through line we had with the Miz. And some of it was, like, also outside of the show, too. Where, like, Karrion Kross keeps telling the Miz that he has to figure out a plan. Mainly because Paul Ellering was the one that put himself in the way of the Miz, so that way he got the attack from Bo Dallas from Uncle Howdy instead of the Miz. So like Miz kind of owes the Final Testament in all this, and I kind of like how it was Paul Ellering now. Like I know we had mentioned it last week how like it's interesting that he took it, and now we're seeing why he was the one to take it, because like now the story's going where like Karrion Kross is pissed, like one of his own men got taken down. Not only that, but like his own version of the wise man. So like he wants Miz to be the one to like make up for that. Like, hey, we had your back. You got to have ours. Like, what are we going to do about this? And Miz, being the chicken shit heel that he is, which I'm sorry, I love chicken shit heel Miz because he's good at it. Like, he's like, no, I don't want any part of this. I don't want anything to do with the Wyatts. Like, I want to get out of this. Like, I am done with this. But like, no, he's got threats from Karrion Kross about breaking his legs. He's got R-Truth being like, "You're gonna die, sucker," and like Miz has nobody he could turn to now because like he thought it's kind of funny when you look at it with Miz because it's like he thought if he was a good guy things would go well, and they didn't. So he decided to be a bad guy again, thinking, "Oh, if I'm a bad guy again, then things will go better." And they're still not going well. So like it's kind of a fun story when you think about it, but like it eventually is going to lead to probably another multi-man or multi-person match with the Wyatts. And honestly, this whole thing is just going to build up Cross more because like as I was online as these segments are going on, there was a lot more praise for Karrion Kross,
Yes.
like especially like with his background, like with his backstage segments and like with his promo work and all that. Like he even had a video. I didn't like watch it while I was looking at the Judgment Day thing, but he had a video from like his hotel room about like searching for the Wyatt Six and all that. So like him being involved with Wyatt Six is gonna do wonders.
Wonders, yes.
Hopefully for his in ring work because like he's a solid worker. It's just he's kind of boring in the ring too, but like he's still solid though. But like, and he's always been a great promo. But like being part with the Miz, like being able to bounce off the Miz and all that, is also gonna boost his level up too. So I might be alone in all that. I don't know.
No.
Drop, you haven't spoken in a while. How'd you feel about
Yeah.
like this kind of through line of the Miz and Karrion Kross going throughout tonight?
And how do you like how the social media is being evolved as well with Karrion Kross turning his little promo packages and now with your Kofi and R-Truth going on there?
I mean, the thing with Cross is that he has potential. They just don't tap into it, and it's kind of hard for people to really care for it just because of like how far down they pushed him down the barrel when it comes to television. Because when he first came back, a lot of us were expecting this to be like a new leaf for him. Things would get better with him, and it did for a little bit, but just after a while, he's just always been stuck. So with this whole thing that's going on with Miz, hopefully it leads to something. I can't really be like super confident and say, well, you know, this might actually work out because it's really hard for me to like really lean into stuff like this because it's just been an ongoing pattern, and it's always the same result for the most part. Because you would think with him being paired with the Authors of Pain, it would have led to something great because of the Authors of Pain being aligned with him. Because when I first saw that faction come together, I thought they were going to destroy everything in their path. And I mean, having them getting pinned by R-Truth out of all people, I mean, that really shows you how big of a deal they really are. So, I mean, I'll see where it goes, and I'll resume further judgment from there. But I'm not going to say that I am super confident that this is going to be successful, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying he's gonna immediately jump to like a title picture after this.
Oh, no,
but,
I don't
like,
think so either.
This will at least be something to like jump him up and at least like give him something to improve his own work on. You know.
Yeah.
I would say
I mean,
that
one thing to do, honestly, just separate him from the Authors of Pain, let them go off, do their own thing.
Yep.
And let Cross just be with Scarlett and just do his own thing. I mean, that's honestly...
Because they work so much better as a duo.
Yeah.
So...
with...
but go ahead, Vash.
I was going to say, with Karrion Kross, I'm very excited for it. I know out of the three of us, I am a big fan of Karrion Kross, and I've been excited to see. I suggest anybody who wants to see an interview with Karrion Kross, one of my favorite is that he had one with Chris, I think last week or two. So go check that out because he gave insights of why some storylines couldn't work with him, with Bobby Lashley and a few other things that he tried to do over the past year. And I see now that they're trying to put the work in, like Walken said in the beginning, that him working with The Miz might actually benefit him so much more. And I agree with Authors of Pain that if they go on their own, I will support that because Authors of Pain actually look good tonight with Karrion Kross behind them. Like Authors of Pain,
I think didn't actually have the jackets or the whole suit and armor or the gear on them. I think they just had like a tank top or shirt, and they actually just looked like regular two strong dudes just looking, behind their boss. Look very well, look good. And Karen Cross just having a graphic T-shirt of his wife on him, which is hilarious. Like that is so fucking Karen Cross
Love
for.
that.
But the thing is, how it's gonna be executed. That's the thing I'm most curious about in the next couple of weeks, because the White Six, they are good for taking an L because they took an L for Chad Gable or the American Made they did, or they took the W. I forgot who it was, but curious to see that for the Final Testament. How's it gonna go the next couple of weeks, and would this be a fight at Survivor Series? Would that be something as well?
The thing
I
is,
doubt
it's
Survivor
not that I-
Series.
Yeah, I doubt that too. But it's like the thing is, it's not that I'm not a fan of Cross, because I am. The only reason why I'm speaking the way I am is because I want to see improvement, because I can see where this superstar can go, but they're not really doing anything to me as the viewer to lead me in. Because separating the fan because like looking at this from like a fan's perspective, I want to see Cross going places, because this could easily be a top heel in the business.
Yes.
He could easily be somebody that could be on a higher level if he was giving proper treatment. And looking at it from a critiques perspective, which is what I try to do the most when we do this, it's not really giving me anything to reel in. That's why I have to just sit and wait to see how things go, because I've been down this direction multiple times with him. I mean, I feel like that promo with Adam Cole all those years ago really hurt him.
It did.
So it's like when he came back, I was very interested to see where it's gonna go, and I just been down that route, waiting to see where it happens. And then I was convinced when he came back this year with the Authors of Pain, it was going to be a completely different story. But again, I haven't really seen anything that jumped out at me, so that's why I have to wait and see where things go. So when I say things the way I do, it's not me saying that I don't like Cross. It's me wanting to see something from Cross, because I know what he's capable of doing.
Well, it's just like what you said earlier. Like, I mean, people criticize because they really like something and want to see it do well. I mean, that's just it right there, So, but speaking of, things doing well and all that, because again, this was just a segment to kind of continue building a story that we'll eventually get to here in a little bit, later in a few weeks and all that. But here comes another one that you two had some words about in our group chat, which, I'll basically let you guys kind of handle this part. We had Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. They had a strong opening match against each other that I thought was, it was pretty good. Couple notes I just want to mention before you guys go off. I hope Sheamus's head is okay, because like the part where Kaiser had him in the guillotine, and then they kind of slammed into the steel steps. Sheamus's head was like right there at the steps, so I'm hoping he's all right from that. And just like the knees and the bro kick that Sheamus was giving him to end the match, they were kind of stiff, but so hopefully Kaiser's all right on that aspect. But you guys had some thoughts about this match, kind of leading in towards like the future and all that. So I kind of want to hear you guys kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go first just so I can explain it better from what I was saying.
Oh yeah, of course. For anybody that wants to see the chat, go to the Discord, the Raw channel. We're having a conversation about the results. If you want to see the full conversation, go check that out. If not, Job, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so like the thing is, it's exactly what I said about Karrion Kross in the last segment that we went over. You can pretty much apply to what I said there to this. You have to give me a legitimate reason to care what Kaiser is going to do, because I understand what Vash said earlier when it comes to how this could have benefited Sheamus, which it would. But you got to look at it like this. It's pretty much a cat and mouse game where one guy wins, the other guy wins. One guy wins, the other guy wins. Where's the payoff? That's basically where I'm at, because these guys have been going back and forth numerous times. They both had wins over each other before. It's not like Kaiser hasn't beaten Sheamus, because he has. So I want to know what the payoff is, because I'm not really the biggest fan of just seeing two people going back and forth and then nothing happening, because when I'm looking at how current stories are being played out right now, when it comes to the certain position Kaiser's in, I mean, it's almost, I'll use Cody for an example. When it comes to Cody's WrestleMania season, that pretty much falls into The Rock's hands. What does The Rock want to do? So you can't really factor any other opponents for Cody, because Rock's is involved in a lot of things. I mean, he's a part of the board wherever he says goes. And the reason why I brought that up is because of Gunther's case, whatever direction Kaiser wants to go, it also falls in Gunther's hands. And since Kaiser recently involved himself with whatever's going on with Cody, when that was a whole Gunther and Cody thing, probably just for the time being, that's why at this exact moment, I couldn't really see anything benefiting from Kaiser winning this match, only because you would have to bleed into SmackDown with that, because it was already confirmed last week that it's going to be Cody and Randy against Gunther and Kaiser. So then you would have to involve some sort of story with Sheamus there. If Sheamus getting involved, if Kaiser hypothetically won, then there would just be like a whole bunch of things there that really doesn't need to be there. That's why what I want to see from Kaiser is a very, very different direction that they did with Giovanni, where they actually allow him to just separate himself from Gunther for a little bit. Like, they can still have Imperium be a thing, but at least have Kaiser do other things. Maybe do something a little bit different from Sheamus. Maybe just have him venture out a little bit and actually discover what he wants to do, so he can build himself up as a superstar. Because, well, Giovanni's case, the reason why I'm bringing him up, because he was a former member, he had potential to do things. And obviously, based on what we've seen, it didn't really go anywhere. With Kaiser, there's a lot more potential there. That's why I want there to be a proper direction for him. Because, again, the reason why I say things is because I care. It's not me saying this person deserves to win over the other. Because if you watch the shows, you can tell what the results are going to be. It's not saying that, oh, I want this to happen because this should happen. It's just how the story's laid out. Because if I were to choose what I wanted today, I mean, sure, it would have been cool for Kaiser to, win and do something with that. But then it goes to ask, like, okay, what can Kaiser realistically get himself involved right now? Because there's a lot of things that are currently booked when it comes to certain events that are going on. When it comes to certain titles, there's already certain stories being played out with that. So, I mean, other than a feud with Sheamus, there really isn't anything there. That was my whole spin on it. It wasn't necessarily me disagreeing with Vash. It was just trying to look at it from my perspective when it comes to what the show is presenting in front of me. That's mainly what I was trying to get out when I was giving my personal thoughts on this. That's why when I mentioned the whole thing about Sheamus, and I brought up something that another person who does wrestling a lot, and Vash knows what I'm talking about, brought up the whole thing about Sheamus eventually going down that line of winning the Intercontinental title, which has been a story that has been going on for like the past 2 years now, that Sheamus unfortunately hasn't been able to grasp. That's why I brought that up as something that I could potentially see happening, only because you eventually have to give us that payoff. You can't just prolong it, because then people weren't going to care. Like, let's say, for example, imagine you had Cody and Roman 2 this year, and Roman won again. You really think people are going to care about Cody versus Roman 3 for another time? No. And you can't really use the world title as Cody finishing his story, because that's not the story. The story is the WWE title. So that's what I'm trying to get at. It comes to a point where you got to give something to the fans for them to feed into. That way they can actually care about what's going to be going on with that said person. That's why when I brought stuff up across, I want to see where it goes. That's why I'm trying to remain neutral, and I'm trying to say as very little as I can, because I want to see where things go. And I'm just basing on what I've seen That's the only way I can really see how things can play out with Cross, because I was there with Cross since the very beginning. I was there when he returned, when Roman and Drew had a feud, and then you had Cross appear on that very show towards the end of SmackDown when Triple H brought him back. So it's like I'm used to the directions that these characters are going down. So with Kaiser, I just need a little something more than Sheamus. I want to see something with Kaiser that benefits him, because he could easily have a match with Braun Breaker or something along the lines with that. But we got to figure out how we get there. And we also don't know what's going on at Braun Breaker, so I can't just make an assumption and saying that's Braun Breaker's next target. And I can't really say that that's Sheamus's next target, because you got to give us clues and hints of where we're going to go in all these different kinds of directions. So that's why I said what I said earlier, because that's just what's being presented on television. That's why when you watch movies, they throw things in there for you to get invested in the story, for you to care about the characters. They haven't really laid anything out for me to really think where is Kaiser going, because it's been a thing that's bounced back and forth with him and Sheamus for quite a while now. And it's I'm not saying it's the exact situation, because it's not even comparable, but it's almost how I felt about the whole LWO and Legado del Fantasma thing. I won. You gotta give it something.
Keep going back and forth. Like,
yeah,
somebody's got to come out on top eventually.
Yeah, that's all it is, really.
Yeah. Okay.
It's obviously they both have, they always put on great matches. That's not, I'm not even worried about that in the slightest.
Yeah, no. It's more about who, like, what's the end goal with all this, and can we just move on from all this? Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
What about you, Vash? I know you had a few different thoughts as well with it, so.
So I'm gonna just state it as Ludwig Kaiser. He should have won in this match with Sheamus. He should have gone over. This is their third match in singles. Their first match was in March 6, 2024, and their second match in singles competition was May 8th of 2024. This was the third match. From what I'm reading over here in Cage Match, it's for some reason it doesn't say who was the winner of those matches. I was trying to find that information, but it doesn't say.
They both had wins over each other. It's a 2. It's Sheamus has 2 and Kaiser has 1.
All right, then, so that's the case. And from what I could tell, that the first 2 matches was a good, was a good 7.58. That's good to see. This third match was solid. I don't have a rating for it. I'm just reading from Cage Match. But I feel like Kaiser should have taken the W in this one, because he is a great competitor, and he is the sidekick or the side piece, like a boy Jay said, the side piece when it comes to Gunther. But he could be on his own without Gunther. He could still be his own man, independent. He's not like the guy who's forgotten, a boy Giovanni Vinci, who has not been shown in like almost a month or 2. I don't even know how long. Like, he was shown there one time, gone in a matter of a second. So it shows the opposite with Kaiser. So for Kaiser to do a banger match with Sheamus for 3 now, and he has had 6 other matches with tag team and everything, so he already has experience with Sheamus. Great opportunity, great match, but then for you to lose against Sheamus, and I feel like you should be getting a W instead when we're trying to push Kaiser. With Sheamus, he's like Seth, he's like Ray. He could get a loss or a W, and it will not affect him too much if he gets the loss even. But Kaiser, him getting a loss when he has to get over Sheamus, having that 2-over-1 instead, like, they haven't had a consistent match like Carmelo and Andre, where they could have Game 7, where they've been having that feud since Money in the Bank. That's almost a good 3 to 4 months that they've had a feud. But then with Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, they've had 3 matches in the past since March. So within 3 months, within 5 months, I believe, they've had 3 matches. And for now to have a 2-1 over Sheamus, where it could have been better to Kaiser and deserve, where Sheamus could not show the frustration, be like, all right, cool, I need that win if I want to go back for the IC title, where it could show to build up for Sheamus in aspect, and where Kaiser could continue his cocky attitude that he is, where he knows that they could shake that off. There's no issue that he is the guy that he believes he is, that good. He's good at the wrestling. He's good at the mic and everything. So I feel like he should have deserved that win.
Okay. All right. To be honest, I don't really care. Like, I mean, they put on great matches. Yeah, like they put on great matches and all that, and there's a story with Sheamus chasing the IC title eventually, and we're at the point of the year where we're gonna be planting those seeds for WrestleMania. We're gonna start building up people for the Royal Rumble to have like top contenders for like Final Four stuff and all that, and who might be winning the Rumble. So like now's the time that we start building those stars and who's gonna be like starting off 2025 in like a big way, and I mean, Sheamus, again, he's been there a while, and yeah, Kaiser could have used the win, but like I feel like Kaiser has a lot more time than Sheamus does.
Yeah.
Because Sheamus's time right now is very limited, I think, and he's gonna have to be built back up, and especially if they have Braun Breaker go on a tear for a bit, which they really should. Building Sheamus up a little bit more to like being that force that he was again when he like first came in and all that, like having him be built back up to take down Braun Breaker. It kind of starts with ending things with Kaiser, and I mean tonight I think kind of did, because like, and somebody remind me too, wasn't Kaiser injured for a bit earlier this year?
Probably that's why. Probably that's why, because he had the other 6 matches that was Sheamus and Ludwig was the tag team with Rich and Butch, with Drew McIntyre versus Giovanni that was involved. But probably that's what their last match was in May 8th. So probably that's why one of them was injured for that reason, and they was gone for a couple months. So probably that's why. That's my assumption for it.
Okay. I usually want to lean that way when things like that happen, but that's besides the point. Okay. Well, I mean, again, I thought the match was a good way to start the night and all that, and I mean, I guess that kind of just leads us into our overall thoughts on Raw tonight. I thought Raw was okay. There were a couple good highlights from it, mainly from the Bloodline segments. Everything else, I mean, we're just kind of adding to some stories and all that. Some more things to kind of absorb and sink our teeth into. Mainly stuff with Finn, but everything else, I mean, a lot of it's just kind of like weekly stories that we get on like Raw and SmackDown and all that. And I'm really hoping we still get Seth and Bronson Reed, but we'll have to, I guess, just wait and see how the rest of the week goes. Yeah, well, I mean, I already did earlier, so so go ahead, Vash. What did you think of Raw overall tonight?
It's Monday Night War, because that's what Wade Barrett said. I'm shocked that he actually said that it's Monday Night War. I didn't expect to hear that in fucking years. I'm not sure if they actually said it in the recent years. I'm just joking around, so I don't know if Chad, please correct me in the comment if they actually did say it in the past couple of years. Of course, they have said it on War Games, but they never said Monday Night War. So for Wade Barrett to say that during the War Raiders, that was pretty awesome to see and hear. We have fucking 7 matches for Crown Jewel, so I'm really curious to see how that's gonna turn around in the next 5 days. Please stay at 7. I would love to see the not substitute, what's the right word, that Bronson Reed is getting his moment back that he was supposed to get back in Elimination Chamber versus Seth Rollins. It's not for a title, but it's still for a feud. So I'm very happy it's getting that. I forgot the right word for it, but overall I'm very excited for that. That's the most. And Finn Balor, what the fuck is your issue? Express your emotions. Don't just walk away from your friends. Talk about your emotions. Communicate, my guy. Express it. What's going on, amigo? ¿Qué está pasando?
Yeah, what Vash said. Drop, what about you? What'd you think of Raw overall tonight?
I mean, I thought it was a solid show. The only thing I really cared about that really stood out to me the most was probably what the Bloodline story was tonight, because that was something that we definitely added a lot of time to talk about tonight. So that was basically the main talking point, which has been an ongoing theme for a lot of our shows recently because they've been putting a lot of focus on that, which I'm glad they are because that it's definitely a very big story to dive into, especially since we're almost at Survivor Series. So you kind of have to pull things together when it comes to that. And then obviously, of course, stuff with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. Other than that, I mean, I got what I wanted with the War Raiders. I mean, can't really say that was I wasn't going to get that because that was definitely the direction they were going down. But I thought it was a solid show for the most part. I mean, just a couple things that really stood out to me. That's all, really.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that was the Weebs of the Ring podcast, everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in, checking out the show and all that. But, you know, there are plenty of ways you can interact with us besides just our twice a week shows. Yeah, twice, sometimes three times a week shows. There are more ways you guys can interact with us, but I unfortunately do not have that information. But I know that Vash up here, he knows where you could do all that stuff. He knows exactly where you can find all those wonderful things. So Vash, why don't you tell the audience exactly where they can find us on
You mean
all
the
social media?
Joker up here, not the Vash? The Joker is here to tell you. Nah, I'm not gonna be able to do the whole voice for the next minute. We'll just hold
I am
on.
going to give you those scars.
So, guys, follow us on Weebs of the Ring every Mondays and Fridays after the Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown show at 10:30 p.m. EST. If not, 10:45 p.m. EST, we will be live for the Weebs of the Ring. And like Watkins said, a third show, a third time stream. What? Is he talking about a third show happening next month, Grappling of the Week? What? Or is he talking about Crown Jewel that's coming to Saturday PLE coverage? So definitely stay tuned for that. Look out for the stream. And Anime Podcast comes out this Thursday morning. So definitely stay tuned for our Halloween special. And Off the Bench is coming out, the new episode for episode 2 on this Saturday. And all the streams, all the links, you can find us down below in the description at Weebs of the Ring, Drop This Box, Legendary Vash, and Walker's MW, and all the social media of Weebs of the Ring handle. Back to you, my little Wakpo.
Oh, back to me indeed. So thank you guys once again for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just told you to do? We are known as Weebs of the Ring on all social media platforms. That's right. That means Twitter, especially Twitter. That means Instagram whenever we start doing things on Instagram, TikTok, all that wonderful stuff. Weebs of the Ring. Also, be sure to use the hashtag Weaves of the Ring, so that way you guys can interact with us during, before, or after the shows. Because, hey, feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Thank you once again to our production team of Vash, Watkins, Drop This Box, and Rome with a Dot. Weaves of the Ring is presented by Anima Wii Studio. And as always, people, just remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Hopefully you guys have a good night. Stay safe out there for Halloween. And if you get some tricks, make sure to treat yourself to some lovely, lovely, lovely spooks. Have a good night, everyone.
So serious.
A good one.